Recent reports are suggesting that the Arsenal deal is not as complete as they would have you believe. And in fact, there is still a possibility that Real Madrid come in for Zubimendi. So is this the one that Real Madrid should be looking at? Well, he certainly fits the profile of footballer that Xabi Alonso is believed to be looking for. He's the player who will make those progressive passes that will take the team forward. He rarely loses the ball. He's a bit of a metronome in the middle. And truth be told, he's very different to the profile of midfielders that we do have at the club. The one likeness would probably be Ceballos, but I do not trust Ceballos to keep himself fit for the entirety of the season. His injury record is woeful at best. But the question is, if you bring in a Zubimendi, what does that do to your formation? Because you've got a couple of choices. Number one, if you want to play with four in the middle of the park, that's fine. You play with Zubimendi, you play with your Tchouaméni, Valverde and Bellingham, and that's quite a competitive midfield. But it does limit you to two up top. Alternatively, if you want to go with three in the middle, who's missing out? Because Bellingham is surely going to play. You would have thought that Valverde will play as the muscle of that midfield. So then you're dropping Tchouaméni for Zubimendi. And the question becomes, is he an upgrade? Well, if you're looking at stats alone, then Tchouaméni completes a greater number of his passes. He makes more passes. The difference is that Zubimendi provides you with more progressive passes. In other words, Tchouaméni's a bit of a crab, passes it from side to side and back. And we could do with a little bit more than that. But my question to you would be, is Tchouaméni not a player that can develop his game further to eliminate this shortfall in his game? Because here's the example that I'm going to propose to you. And I don't know whether you agree with me or not, but you can let me know in the comment section down below. I would make the comparison to Arsenal, because Arsenal are the team that humiliated us in this season's Champions League, didn't they? They took us out of the competition and they looked comfortable. And even in the second leg, when you had all of that talk about La Remontada, oh, this is going to be it, we'll show them what life's like at the Bernabeu, 90 minutes under the lights is a very long time, blah, blah, blah. No, we got battered. And here's the thing. Let's study Arsenal's midfield. You've got three in there. On any given day, this is their most strong midfield. You would go with Thomas Partey, you would go with Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard. We're very familiar with Odegaard because he passed through Real Madrid, didn't he? But if you compare them, let's go really, really basic. Let's go 6, 8, 10. So you've got your 6, you've got Partey, your 8, Declan Rice, and your 10, Martin Odegaard. Okay, so let's compare the 10. You'd compare with Jude Bellingham, who is, for all intents and purposes, he's mainly a 10. Okay, is Martin Odegaard really superior to Jude Bellingham? I don't believe so. What I do believe is that Martin Odegaard significantly outworks Jude Bellingham. He puts himself about on the pitch. He pops up all over that midfield. And I believe that that's where he has an advantage over Bellingham. But in terms of raw technical ability, do we really think that Jude Bellingham is inferior? Second one on that list, this is interesting, Declan Rice and Fede Valverde. Now, I really rate both players. I think in a parallel universe, I probably would have taken Declan Rice to Real Madrid. I think he's that good. I definitely think that he could have fit this team. But who's the better of the two? They both carry the ball very well. They're both very imposing. They look incredible striding towards goal. Who's the better player of the two? It's a little bit harder, a little bit more nuanced to come to a conclusion on that one. And finally, you come to Thomas Partey and Tchouaméni. Who is the better of the two? I think, on balance, Thomas Partey had a more complete season than Tchouaméni. However, towards the end of that year, Tchouaméni really started to impose himself. They're not that far apart. This is a dynamic midfield that can compete with the very best teams in world football, in Arsenal. But we've got all of the players there to do exactly the same. So what's the difference? The difference is the coaching. It's the fact that Arteta has drilled those players to work harder than us. We've talked about this before, but it's embarrassing, the absolute shame that we should feel that our team ran less than every other team in those elimination rounds. Because we shouldn't be like that. We should be working harder. And I do believe that if you coach those players, essentially what I'm saying is put a rocket up them, They need to work harder because if you've got Chouameni, Valverde, and Bellingham all putting in a shift, there's no way on earth that you have a lesser midfield than Arsenal. And I mean that with utmost respect because I really do rate I rate Declan Rice for one. I think that Thomas Partey was outstanding, particularly against us. It was a big miss for them in the other game. And I think that Odegaard has come on leaps and bounds, but I still think he's not as good as Jude Bellingham. And I don't think that that's too outrageous to say. So, what I'm trying to say is that I believe that we've got the solution in house. I just don't think they're working hard enough. And you could say that this applies to other areas of the team. For example, the forwards don't do nearly as much pressing as they do at Arsenal. And you're 100% correct, because I do believe that that's another thing that Alonso will have to address. But I think he's capable of doing so. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that Zubimendi's a bit of a luxury. If you can bring him in without collateral damage, then fair enough. But I don't think that's the case. In reality, I see a player that will cost us 60 million euros, and I believe that you've got the solution already. I've told you before in the past that I want a different profile of player. I want someone that takes the right wing and turns it into a weapon for Real Madrid. I want someone that runs at defenders and puts the fear of God in them, like Barcelona have when Lamine Yamal runs at a fullback. I want that on that side because I think that changes the game. All of these top sides in European football have exactly that. They have dangerous players that defenders do not want to line up against. You tell me, if you're looking at Alvaro Carreras, this player who's supposed to have already signed for Real Madrid, you're essentially looking at a player and you're saying to him, do you know what? You're marking Lamine Yamal for the next 10 years. It's a dangerous proposition. It's not a very nice thing, but that's reality. That's reality at the top of the game. We don't have that on that side, so that's where I would put my focus. I also think that we obviously need to address the defence a little bit more thoroughly. We're making moves in the right direction, but we're not quite there yet. But in terms of the midfield, do we really need to sign this kind of profile of player, the Zubimendi or the Stiller from Stuttgart? I'm not so sure. Let me know your thoughts, though, in the comment section down below. And if you did enjoy this video, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. Thank you.